Episode 156.
Now that we're alone, madam, please speak frankly. That way I can properly consider the matter and ensure nothing has been overlooked.
The young woman glanced at Han Li, who was scratching his head with a rueful smile, and finally spoke.
A couple of years back, I happened to hear some rumors, who knows if they're true, about this senior sister Hong Fu's female disciple. They say she wasn't exactly proper in her dealings with men. Even back during her qi condensation days, she was entangled with several male disciples. There were even people who fought duels over her in private, nearly sparking the foolishness of fellow disciples harming each other. When senior sister Hong Fu learned of this, she was furious. She had the girl confined to her cave abode under strict guard, and only released her after she had successfully built her foundation. But not long after, rumors started swirling again. This time, they said he'd gotten involved with that young man from the Feng family, and there was even talk of them pursuing dual cultivation together. But senior sister Hong Fu has always detested the Feng family, so of course she wouldn't agree to it. She had him confined once more. For the next 2 years, no further news about him came out. Since there was never any solid proof, and I've never been particularly interested in these matters, I didn't even think of it when senior sister Hong Fu brought her disciple to visit earlier. Now that I see Han Li is so reluctant, I found it strange, and that's what suddenly reminded me.
The young woman's apologetic words left both Han Li and Li Huiyuan utterly dumbfounded. As for Li Huiyuan, he simply never imagined that the young Miss Dong's reputation was so thoroughly tarnished. He'd rashly agreed to senior sister Hong Fu's request, and now he had no idea what to do. As for Han Li, he hadn't expected that this Miss Dong was entangled with more than just senior brother Lu. He was truly speechless once again.
Wife, is what you're saying true? That disciple of senior sister Hong Fu has such a terrible reputation?
Li Huiyuan could no longer remain seated. He rose to his feet without thinking and began pacing back and forth across the hall.
This isn't just about whether Han Li is willing to engage in dual cultivation. If my disciple really takes in a woman like that, my reputation, Li Huiyuan's reputation, will be ruined.
I wouldn't know. These are just things people say offhand. I doubt even the ones telling the stories know if they're true or not.
Han Li heard this and couldn't help but roll his eyes internally.
What do you mean, might not be true? At the very least, that girl definitely had some kind of improper relationship with senior brother Lu. Otherwise, why would he so easily kill his previous female companion?
Of course, Han Li didn't voice any of this. He just stood there awkwardly, putting on an act of you-know-best master that immediately gave Li Huiyuan a splitting headache. With this turn of events, Li Huiyuan could hardly force Han Li to agree anymore. In fact, he was having second thoughts himself. However, his senior sister Hong Fu was not someone who would casually break a promise, and the reason for wanting to back out, well, it wasn't exactly something he could bring up openly. No wonder he was so utterly vexed. Li Huiyuan paced back and forth in the hall a few more times, but still couldn't think of a solution. His gaze shifted, noticing Han Li still standing there expectantly, waiting for his master's reply. The sight only deepened his frustration.
Go back for now. I'll discuss this with your master's wife and let you know how we decide to handle it.
Han Li was also on tenterhooks, terrified that the other party would ignore all reason and still force him to agree to the dual cultivation.
But now, hearing Li Huiyuan's instructions, Han Li's heart immediately eased. He knew the matter was almost certainly off the table.
"Yes, master," Han Li replied, and promptly made his escape.
Then, under the surprised gazes of Song Meng and Wu Xuan outside the hall, Han Li hurriedly flew from the cave. He flew back to his residence in one breath, and after 3 anxious days he finally received a message talisman from Li Huiyuan. Upon hearing the outcome his master and Aunt Red Sleeve had negotiated, Han Li couldn't help but let out a long sigh to the heavens. Half a month later, before the waterfall of Green Wave Cave, Li Huayuan, his wife, and the immortal Red Duster were all there to see two people off. The two travelers-to-be, however, seemed stiff and unnatural, offering only meek, repeated assurances with none of the excitement one would expect from those embarking on a journey. This man and woman were none other than Han Li and Dong Xuan'er, the disciple of the Red Dust Immortal.
Han Li, you two must support each other on this journey and be careful all the way. I've heard the cultivation world hasn't been very stable lately, with cultivators going missing frequently. It started with qi condensation cultivators, but lately, even some at the foundation establishment stage have met with misfortune.
Before the two of them left, although Li Huayuan only gave Han Li a few simple words of advice, it still left him tenured. But the parting words that Aunt Hongfu had for the girl gave Han Li a real eye-opener.
On the road, you must listen to your senior brother Hain and follow the rules. If you cause any more trouble, don't blame me for disregarding our master-disciple bond.
The blunt words from this Aunt Hongfu left the young woman pale-faced, nodding repeatedly without a word, a picture of pitiable vulnerability. And so Han Li and Dong Xuan'er rose on their artifacts, flying south until they vanished into the distant sky. Li Huai watched the two specks of light fade into the distance, a sudden flicker of concern crossing his mind.
Are you truly at ease, seeing your sister, sending the two of them to represent us at the Yan clan's treasure hunt? They've only just reached foundation establishment. They don't stand a chance.
What's this, junior brother Li? Are you worried that sending your weaker disciples will tarnish your reputation? Or are you just regretting the loss of the Yan family's talisman treasure, the Qian Kun Tower?
Immortal Hongfu shot a sidelong glance at Li Huayuan, leaving him with nothing but a bitter smile.
Of course my husband doesn't mean that. He's just wondering, why not send your strongest disciple, senior sister Hongfu? Han Li and Miss Dong, compared to real foundation establishment experts, would be utterly outmatched. Are you perhaps trying to use this chance to play matchmaker for them?
Junior brother Li, your wife is truly a wonderful helpmate. To be honest, that thought has crossed my mind as well. If she and your disciple here truly develop feelings for each other along the way and it leads to a happy union, that would be the best outcome, of course. But that wasn't my real intention. My main goal with this trip to the Yan family is to let that girl experience some setbacks and knock her pride down a peg. Because I heard that the young lady from the Yan family, the one with the heavenly spirit root, will also be returning home to participate in this treasure hunt tournament. That should teach her the difference between herself and a true genius, and put an end to her delusions of grandeur. I spoiled her too much in the past, because she was my late brother's only descendant. I let her get away with things that damaged her reputation, completely ruining a young woman's good name. If I hadn't personally verified her chastity on multiple occasions, confirming she remains pure, I would have struck her down long ago. That would have spared our Dong family the disgrace of being thought to have raised a shameless woman.
The meaning behind Fairy Hongfu's words was not lost on them. Li Huayuan and his wife exchanged a look, their faces flushing with embarrassment. That very day, Li Huayuan and his wife steeled themselves and went to speak with their senior sister Hongfu. They stammered their way through explaining that their disciple had gone back on his word. To their surprise, this senior sister, who was not known for her good temper, merely let out a soft sigh and agreed to their request. This left the two of them overjoyed. However, Hongfu had one condition. She hoped Han Li would accompany Dong Xuan'an on a journey to attend the treasure-seizing tournament recently hosted by the Yan family. The treasure hunt tournament was an event hosted by the Yan clan, the foremost cultivation family in the state of Yue. They invited disciples under core formation masters from several neighboring countries to gather in one place. The whole point was to build good relations with these powerful cultivators, securing advantages for the Yan clan's future development. So, they've brought out the legendary talisman treasure, the Qingkun Tower, as the top prize for this event. Of course, there are plenty of other rare treasures, magic tools, and spirit pills on offer as well. So, many of the invited core formation cultivators did indeed send their strongest disciples to participate in the tournament. After all, even core formation cultivators coveted the Qingkun Tower talisman treasure. Of course, due to the distance involved, the majority of cultivators attending would still be from this country. When Red Sleeve mentioned sending Han Li, Li Huiyuan hesitated.
It's a real waste to send someone as weak as Han Li to such a prime opportunity like the treasure hunt conference. But my strongest disciple, my second in command, is away on a trip. He won't be able to make it back in time for the competition. If I send any other disciple, they won't stand a chance at first place. If I got some lower ranking and won a few magic tools or the like, I wouldn't even look at them. Fine, I'll send Han Li.
After some thought, Li Huiying agreed. Li Huiyuan and his wife thought the matter was settled and were about to take their leave, but then, unexpectedly, the red dust immortal ant insisted on keeping the young woman back for a while, saying she had some things to discuss with her privately. Li Huiyuan, his mind full of questions, was simply shooed out. Half a day later, the young woman returned from Hongfu's cave abode and told Li Huiyuan something utterly astonishing. Senior sister Hongfu actually took the young woman to the back room to inspect Dong Shuaner's jade token right then and there. Yet, the handcrafted sand representing chastity was still perfectly intact, which gave Han Li's master's wife quite a shock.
It's not that I'm making baseless assumptions, but judging by the allure in your features, Miss Dong, you really don't seem like someone who's untouched.
You see, my disciple chose to cultivate the top-tier technique in my possession, the Hua Chun Ju, for its remarkable youth-preserving effects. The alluring charm in her eyes and brows is merely a superficial manifestation of practicing this art. So, when some cultivators skilled in the art of discerning a maiden's purity saw her a few times, they naturally assumed her primordial yin had long since faded. That's how all those unfavorable rumors about her started to spread.
Oh, so that's how it is. What a misunderstanding.
Of course, my disciple does have a certain lack of self-respect. She's been rather familiar with some of the male disciples. But with the seductive effects of the Hua Chun art and her special status, it would be a wonder if male cultivators weren't swarming around her. But as the number of male cultivators around her grew, she gradually developed a strange compulsion. Whenever she saw a young man she fancied, she'd immediately want to see him fall at her feet. She even took to provoking these men for her own amusement, delighting in watching them fight for her favor. Fortunately, I laid down the law beforehand. I forbade her from losing her chastity. If I ever found her guardian seal gone, I would strip her of her magic power on the spot and cast her back down as a mortal.
Bound by this life or death condition, Dong Shuaner, though she often flirted with those men, never dared to cross the line. But word of her exploits gradually reached Hongfu's ears, infuriating the core formation stage female cultivator. She punished Dong Shuaner severely and even placed her under house arrest for a time.